The alien General Valker had watched wars longer than most species had existed. For over 300 years, he had stood on command decks and watched stars burn. He had given orders that erased planets. He had seen entire civilizations disappear in silence. Some begged, some resisted, some never even understood what was happening. War was simple to him. You study the enemy, you find their weakness, you strike once, and you move on. Fear had left him centuries ago. That was why the order from the Galactic Council annoyed him. Observe humans, the message said. Study their warfare. Do not engage. Valker read the order twice, just to be sure. Observe, not attack. Not conquer. Not destroy. Just watch. He felt insulted. Humans were barely worth the time of a junior officer, let alone a high general of the Dominion. They were new to the galaxy. Loud, emotional, short-lived. Their planet was unstable, full of storms, earthquakes, diseases, and endless conflict. A death world, the galaxy called it. Species born on death worlds rarely survived long enough to matter. Valker expected the human records to be boring. Still, orders were orders. He entered the observation chamber alone. The room was dark and silent, lit only by floating holographic screens. With a simple gesture, he activated the human archive. Thousands of human wars appeared before him. Too many, Valker frowned. Most species unified early. Humans did not. They fought each other constantly. Nations against nations. Groups against groups. Sometimes even neighbors against neighbors. This species is broken, Valker muttered. He selected an early war and pressed play. At first it was exactly what he expected. Messy formations, loud weapons, soldiers shouting instead of following clean command lines. Humans showed fear openly. Some screamed, some hesitated, some ran. Valker almost ended the session. But then he noticed something strange. The humans were losing, clearly losing. Their lines collapsed. Their vehicles burned. Their air support fell from the sky. By all logic, this was the moment when a species should surrender. But the humans didn't. They pulled back. They regrouped. They argued. Then they returned to the battlefield, with changes, new formations, different timing, weapons used in ways Valker had never seen before. They lost again and again. But each time, the loss was smaller. The next battle lasted longer. The next defense held stronger. The next counterattack was sharper. Valker leaned forward. This was not normal. Most species avoided loss at all cost. They feared it. Loss meant shame. Loss meant weakness. Loss meant extinction. Humans treated loss like information. Valker opened another file. Then another. Then another. The pattern repeated. Humans lost early wars. Humans lost early battles. Humans lost ships, cities, and millions of lives. And yet, every war made them better. One battle caught his attention. A human fleet faced an enemy 3 times its size. The odds were impossible. No sane commander would engage. The human commander did. The fleet was destroyed. Valker waited for the reaction. Panic, rage, despair. Instead, the human commander stood among the wreckage, blood on his face, and spoke calmly to his officers. "This isn't the plan," the man said. "This is just the first failure." Valker felt something tighten inside his chest. Failure. To humans, failure was not the end. It was the beginning. Valker replayed the moment again. The human commander did not look afraid. He did not look defeated. He looked focused, almost calm. Valker had never seen that before. He continued watching. Human soldiers joked before battle. They laughed under fire. They argued with their leaders and still followed them into death. Their leaders were not perfect. Some made terrible mistakes. Some failed completely. Yet the humans adapted around bad leadership. Small units acted on their own. Individuals made choices without orders. Creativity replaced rigid command. To Valker, this was madness. To the battlefield, it was effective. In one recording, a human unit was trapped behind enemy lines. Communication was lost. Support was gone. By Dominion standards, they were already dead. The humans did not wait. They used broken equipment. They turned tools into weapons. They changed their mission from survival to disruption. By the time they were eliminated, they had destroyed a supply route and delayed an entire invasion. Valker stared at the screen. They knew they would die, and they went anyway. Most species fought to live. Humans fought even when living was no longer possible. That unsettled him. He paused the recordings and stood in silence. For the first time in centuries, Valker felt something unfamiliar. Unease. He had studied warriors who fought with honor. He had studied warriors who fought with rage. He had studied warriors who fought out of fear. Humans fought with something else. They fought with acceptance. Acceptance of loss. Acceptance of pain. Acceptance of failure. And because of that, they were free to change. Valker resumed the archive, now watching faster, scanning wars across centuries. Human technology evolved rapidly, but not smoothly. It broke often. It failed often. Yet every failure made the next version stronger. Human weapons were ugly, but reliable. Human ships were not elegant, but stubborn. Human armor was heavy, scratched, and scarred, just like the soldiers inside. Everything about human warfare said one thing: we expect this to go wrong. Velker finally understood why the Council wanted observation, not invasion. Humans were unpredictable, and unpredictability was dangerous. He leaned closer to the main screen, watching a human city under attack. Buildings burned, sirens screamed, civilians ran. Then the humans adapted again. Civilians became fighters, drivers became supply runners, engineers became medics. The entire society shifted into survival mode. No single leader controlled it. It just happened. Velker whispered to himself, they are always at war. Not just with enemies. With nature, with each other, with failure itself. And they had learned to live inside it. The archive ended. The room went dark. Velker remained still. He had faced monsters larger than stars. He had crushed empires older than time. But this frightened him. Because humans did not fight to dominate the galaxy. They fought to adapt to it. And adaptation, Velker knew better than anyone, was the most dangerous weapon in the universe. Somewhere far away, humans were still fighting their small wars, unaware that an ancient alien general was watching them with something dangerously close to respect and fear. Velker did not stop watching. After the first session, he should have rested. That was the rule. Long observation caused mental strain, even for his kind. But Velker ignored the warning lights. He felt something pulling him back to the screens. Humans. They did not make sense. He reopened the archives and went deeper. Much deeper. This time, he did not watch famous wars or large battles. He studied small fights, failed missions, moments that most species erased from records. Human records kept everything. Their mistakes, their bad choices, their worst defeats. Velker found this strange. Most civilizations hid failure. Humans displayed it. The wars were still messy, loud, confusing. Orders overlap. Plans changed too fast. Soldiers shouted, argued, and sometimes ignored commands. By Dominion standards, it was chaos. But inside the chaos, Velker began to see something terrifying. A pattern. Other species followed rules like sacred laws. Formations must hold. Commands must flow from the top. Plans must not change. Humans treated rules like tools. They used them when needed. Then they broke them. When surrounded, most species defended. Humans attacked. Velker watched a recording where a human unit was trapped on all sides. Their position was lost. Retreat was impossible. Instead of pulling back, the humans charged the weakest point in the enemy line. They didn't escape. They broke through. When outmatched, humans did not fight harder. They fought smarter. In one battle, human ships faced enemy cannons that could cut through shields easily. Any normal fleet would retreat. Humans stayed. They shut down their shields on purpose. Velker froze. The enemy cannons overheated. The human ships used the opening to strike. It was reckless. It worked. Velker realized humans were not afraid to look weak if it gave them a chance to win. When technology failed, humans did not stop. They adapted again. Velker watched soldiers fight after their weapons jammed. They used debris, broken tools, even bare hands. One human shouted as he charged, "If it still moves, we can use it." Velker replayed the moment several times. No advanced weapon, no support, only will. That should not have worked. But it did. The most shocking discovery came later. Humans trained for losing. Velker opened military training files and could not believe what he saw. Human soldiers practiced defeat. They ran drills where leaders were removed. They trained without supplies. They planned for missions to fail. Failure was not punished. It was studied. After every loss, humans gathered and asked one question. What went wrong? Not, who is to blame? What can we learn? Velker felt a deep chill. Most species built armies to avoid mistakes. Humans built armies to survive them. Their leaders planned for errors. Backup plans had backup plans. Sometimes even those failed, and humans still continued. Their machines were just as strange. Human vehicles were ugly and loud, but they could work even when damaged. Panels were torn off. Systems failed. Humans kept moving. Velker saw a tank with half its armor gone, still firing. A ship missing engines, still drifting into battle. A weapon held together with tape and hope. It made no sense, but it worked. Slowly, Velker understood the truth. Humans did not fear defeat. They expected it. And because of that, defeat did not break them. They used it. Velker ran simulations. At first, the results were normal. In short wars, humans lost. Against larger forces, humans fell back. Their early losses were heavy. The Council would have seen these results and smiled. But Velker did not stop the simulations early. He let them run longer. Much longer. The results changed. The longer the war lasted, the stronger humans became. Human tactics evolved. Human weapons improved. Human psychology hardened. Enemy strategies became predictable. Humans adapted faster than anyone else. Every enemy mistake made humans smarter. Every loss made them more dangerous. In one simulation, humans lost the first 3 major battles. By the 5th battle, they were equal. By the 7th, they were winning. Velker felt something close to dread. This was not strength. This was growth through pain. No species used war like this. Most races feared long conflicts. They drained resources. They broke morale. Humans thrived in them. War shaped humans the way fire shaped metal. The more pressure applied, the stronger they became. Velker paused the simulation and stood alone in the observation chamber. He had crushed species for far less, and the humans were still young. Too young, he opened a secure channel to the Galactic Council. His message was calm, clear, direct. Humans are not dangerous at first contact, Velker said, but they are extremely dangerous over time. The council listened in silence. Velker continued. If we fight humans once, we may win. If we fight them twice, we will not. He showed them the simulations. He showed them the patterns. He showed them the results. The council replied with cold confidence. Humans were smaller. Their fleets were weaker. Their technology was behind. Numbers and power decided war. They always had. The council thanked Velker for his service and ignored his warning. The channel closed. Velker remained still. He knew what they had failed to understand. Numbers meant nothing against adaptation. Power meant nothing against learning. And humans learned fast. Very fast. He returned to the screens and watched human forces prepare for another war. They laughed. They argued. They fixed broken gear with simple tools. They looked unprepared. They were not. Velker felt something heavy settle in his mind. A realization he could not escape. If the galaxy forced humans into a long war, the galaxy would not survive it. The first clash was brief. The galactic fleet had arrived in orbit around a human system, confident and proud. Thousands of alien warships, perfectly organized. Every weapon calibrated. Every fleet formation practiced 100 times over. They expected a fast victory. Humans, as usual, seemed weak. Their ships were smaller. Their fleets fewer. Their technology old by Dominion standards. The alien generals smiled. Victory would be theirs before lunch. But then the humans did something unexpected. They retreated. Not in panic, not in fear. They simply pulled back, leaving the aliens confused. The galaxy erupted in celebration. Weak species, the council said, easily defeated. Velker did not celebrate. He did not move. He did not speak. He only watched. Because the humans were doing exactly what they had always done. They were learning. Every movement, every attack, every maneuver the aliens made was recorded. Every weakness noted. Every error logged. The humans had retreated to prepare, not to surrender. Velker leaned over the holographic display and studied the retreat patterns. It was methodical, careful, calculated. The aliens thought it was chaos. It was strategy. A week passed. Then, too, alien commanders grew impatient. They sent scouts and patrols, but humans never attacked prematurely. They waited. They watched. They adapted. The second clash began. This time, the humans did not retreat. They were ready. Velker watched in silence as alien attacks failed. Human ships predicted alien moves. Weapons targeted weak points that had never been noticed before. Shields were rotated, deployed, and even feigned to fail, tricking the aliens into overextending. Every tactic the aliens had relied on for centuries was now useless. The humans were learning faster than the aliens could adapt. Velker felt a chill he had not felt in centuries. The alien generals were confident, shouting orders, issuing maneuvers they had used thousands of times. The humans did not follow their expected path. They rewrote doctrine in real time. Ships moved in patterns that made no sense on paper but worked perfectly in practice. Small, seemingly weak vessels struck at critical points with surgical precision. Heavy warships blocked, drew fire, and then pivoted into counterattacks that decimated enemy lines. Every mistake the aliens made was punished. By the third clash, it was clear. Humans were no longer defending. They were leading. Velker watched as alien formations collapsed under coordinated human strikes. Fleets that once seemed invincible were now staggering. Command ships were lost. Weapon systems destroyed. Alien morale shattered. The Galactic Council grew anxious. They had underestimated humans. They had assumed that numbers and firepower would always decide victory. They were wrong. Velker knew it. The humans were not strongest in size. They were not strongest in weapons. They were strongest in one thing the galaxy had ignored: adaptation. The war ended not with destruction, but with surrender. The Galactic Council had no choice. Their fleets were shattered, their strategies exposed, and their confidence broken. Peace was signed quickly before the humans could strike again. The galaxy believed it was a victory for diplomacy. Velker knew better. Humans had shown the galaxy something far more terrifying than brute force. They had shown the ability to fight any enemy, in any condition, and to grow stronger every time. Velker submitted his final report. His words were brief, but heavy with warning. Humans are not conquerors, he wrote. They are survivors, and the universe was not ready for them. He left the report on the council's desk. No one read it with the seriousness he intended, but it did not matter. The humans had already proven it. Every alien fleet that would attempt to challenge them would discover the truth themselves. Velker walked to the observation deck one last time. Outside, human colonies thrived. Cities glowed with life, ships moved in and out of orbit, and children played under skies filled with stars and satellites. The humans were ordinary and extraordinary at the same time. Ordinary in their flaws, extraordinary in their resilience. Velker remembered one human phrase he had overheard during the war archives. We don't give up. We don't quit. We survive. It was a simple phrase, but it carried the weight of centuries of adaptation, of endless failure turned into victory. He realized then that the galaxy had underestimated them, not because humans were weak, but because no one had ever seen a species use weakness as strength. Humans fought through fire, storms, disease, enemy weapons, and their own mistakes. Every loss, every failed mission, every mistake became a weapon. And Velker understood the terrifying truth. The galaxy had been warned too late. From that day on, one rule changed forever. Never underestimate humans. Velker returned to his ship, leaving the system behind. He would never forget the humans. He would never forget the way they had adapted, survived, and thrived. He had faced thousands of species. He had crushed empires and ruled systems. He had destroyed planets with a thought, but nothing had ever been like this. Humans were unpredictable. Humans were unstoppable. Humans were alive in a way the galaxy could not fully comprehend. He looked at the stars, then at the human colonies below, and for the first time in centuries, he felt a strange emotion: respect. Not the kind reserved for allies, not the kind given to equals, the kind reserved for something greater than yourself, something that would survive anything, something that would change the galaxy forever. Velker closed his eyes. He did not fear the humans anymore. He feared what the galaxy would do if it ignored them. And somewhere, in the far reaches of space, humans continued to fight. Not for glory, not for conquest, not for power. They fought to survive. And every time they did, the galaxy learned too late.